So I've had a lot of information coming to me lately from Inside Policing, given my role as co-founder of Police on Guard, that they're getting a lot of calls from libraries and community centers and things of that nature asking for police security to protect them as they host child or drag shows for children, drag shows and story hour and everything else for children. So this is a call out to the police services. In case you forgot the law, in case you forgot what your job is, I mean, these spineless police chiefs, it makes me sick. You bend a knee to every single woke thing that comes down your street. But when it comes to children, you don't stand up for the law. You don't stand up for children. Well, let me refresh your memory on the laws, okay? Just in case you've forgotten. I apologize if this is going to take too long for some of you, but I think it's important that this gets out there because this is exactly what the law in Canada says. Okay, you ready? Sexual exploitation, section 153 sub 1. Every person commits an offense who is in a position of trust or authority towards a young person, who is a person with whom the young person is in a relationship of dependency, or who is in a relationship with a young person that is exploitative of the young person, and who for a sexual purpose touches directly or indirectly with part of the body or with an object, any part of the body or the young person. Maybe twerking on somebody's lap, wearing next to nothing as a drag queen, there's one. And B, for a sexual purpose, invites, counsels, or incites a young person to touch directly or indirectly with a part of the body or with an object, the body of any person, including the body of the person who so invites, counsels, or incites, and the body of the young person. Again, relates to, as far as I'm concerned, you got some guy who's dressed as a woman wearing next to nothing in a thong with his nuts practically hanging out, twerking on a kid. That's 153 sub 1 sections A and B. Next, parent or guardian procuring sexual activity, section 170. Every parent or guardian of a person under the age of 18 who procures the person for the purpose of engaging in any sexual activity prohibited by this act with a person other than the parent or guardian is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for a term not more than 14 years and to a minimum punishment of imprisonment for a term of 1 year. Okay. Then we're going to go to section 171, making sexually explicit material available to children. Section 171 of the Criminal Code of Canada. Every owner, occupier, or manager of a premises, okay, that means you library coordinators and community centers and you teachers that are bringing your kids to this crap and you parents too, or any person who has control of a premises or assists in the management or control of a premises who knowingly permits a person under the age of 18 to resort to or to be in the premises for the purpose of engaging in any sexual activity prohibited by this act is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for a term of not more than 14 years and to a minimum punishment of imprisonment for a term of 1 year. When you bring children to watch adults dressed in next to nothing, regardless of their sexual orientation or their identity, I don't care. These are children. And we're putting them in an environment where sexual activity is happening. We are exposing them to sexual activity. So that brings me to the last one, exposure. Okay? Every person who, in any place, for a sexual purpose, exposes his or her genital organs to a person who is under the age of 16 years is guilty of an indictable offense and is liable to imprisonment for a term not more than 2 years and to a minimum punishment of imprisonment for a term of 90 days, or is guilty of an offense punishable on summary conviction and is liable to imprisonment for a term of not more than 6 months and to a minimum punishment of prison 30 days. When you're bringing your children to these events and you got some guy who's wearing next to nothing and his genitals are essentially exposed, and I've seen these videos, and I've seen the lap dances and the twerking, and them wearing fake penises and stroking them, and seeing kids going to these shows and playing the game, throw the ring on the dildo. You're breaking the law. And police chiefs, you're committing neglect of duty. You're not enforcing the laws that are there because you're worried about the woke mafia. Your job is not to worry about the woke mafia. It's to enforce the law. It's to serve and protect, to keep the peace and prevent offenses. Or did you take a different oath than I did? Just wondering.